Well, well, well. Here we are again. It is Tuesday night for us, Wednesday morning for you guys. Let me adjust this better here. Okay. Not sure why those dots are everywhere. I think it's the reflection from these lights. I don't know. Makes it look like I'm all blinged out. How come that? Oh, that looks better. Anyways, I'm in the backyard here. We have Alex and Veronica from Lake Tahoe. They were still here with us. They're leaving tomorrow or today for you guys, Wednesday morning. This is their last evening with us. We had a little bit of a barbecue, got a few pieces of chicken, some carne asada, and we're all sitting out here in the backyard enjoying ourselves and talking. Sorry, Maria from Rusk. You said not to yawn, but I can't help it. I have a good excuse, though. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Everybody just went in. The kids are asleep in the living room. So there was no way for me to do a devotional in my normal spot. They have two little ones, and they were watching Planet of the Apes. Anyways, we had great time, great fellowship here, and it kind of led me to what I wanted to talk about today, the scripture. But first, I just wanted to share a couple things. Um, what was I going to share with you guys? I had something in my mind I was going to share with you guys. Oh, yeah. So today I was able to have a conversation with American Cholo. He's a guy that interviewed me a couple months ago. I've texted him back and forth here and there. But he had an interesting week, and he was just kind of sharing with me a little bit about it. And then I talked to Tony A., who also had an interesting week, and he called me to share about it. And I thank God that he put me in a place where I can be a voice of wisdom, and I mean, each of them are their own men, don't get me wrong, but I just thank God, uh, when people call me, whether not just them, but even people in the church or people, when you guys call, Adam, I know you wanted to talk to me, brother. I apologize. Like I said, we've been entertaining. I don't know if that's the right word, but we've been here with Alex and Veronica from Lake Tahoe, and um, just being with them. And I did do a bike ride today with Veronica. As you know, or don't know, Alex and Veronica are the couple from Lake Tahoe that are kicking the church off, and Veronica got really interested in cycling. She went and got herself a bike, and so me, her, and Sharon went on a ride today, did 9 miles. But other than that, we've been together all day. Adam, so I will get at you. I apologize. There's a couple brothers that called me, and um, they're down here. They took days off of work. They have their other, half of their kids here, the other half back at Lake Tahoe, the older kids, and I didn't want to squander their time. I want their time to be used wisely when they're here with us, especially because they're about to kick off House of Rest Lake Tahoe. And so I was really excited though, because when I did get a chance to quickly talk to American Cholo real quick, I talked to him for like 5 minutes, so it wasn't a long conversation, but he had said something about his life that I had no idea about, and I asked him if he would be willing to do a Zoom for this channel, and he says, yeah, just he was give me a couple of days and a date, and we'll do it, no problem. So I got to figure that out, set that up. I'm really excited about that. It's pretty cool, it's going to be interesting, especially the subject matter that we're going to be talking about, which I'll share later. Um, anyways, I'm going to get right into this scripture, guys, and I'm going to read it. I might have even used this before on a devotional, but nevertheless, I think it's relevant to what we were talking about with Alex and Veronica tonight as we were eating dinner and then even after. And I'm going to share it with you. So Luke chapter 14, starting at 25. Okay. This is in the words of Jesus, okay? So Jesus is having a conversation. It says, "Now great multitudes went with him, and he turned and said to them," so there's a whole group of people around Jesus. And he says, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and yes, and even his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple." Obviously, he's not asking you to hate your family. That's not even a subject I'm going to talk about, but it goes into what I'm going to talk about. But basically, he's not saying for you to hate your family, but he is saying that we need to love the Lord more than our own spouses and our own children. And it makes perfect sense when you surrender your life to the Lord. The reason I say that is because you think like, that's messed up. I'm not supposed to put my wife first or my kids. But in actuality, when you surrender everything to the Lord, you're going to love your spouse differently. When you surrender everything to the Lord, you're going to love your children differently, a deeper love, and so it has to be in place. Our love has to be through Christ first in order to love those around us truly with love. But anyways, that's not even what I wanted to talk about. Let's keep going. It says in verse 28, "Which of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? Lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, 'This man began to build and was not able to finish.' Or what king going to make war against another king does not sit down first, consider whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes against him with 20,000? Or else," it's kind of dark here, guys, so I'm trying to read here. And it's crazy because the red letters in my Bible, the words of Jesus, with this light, it's kind of like hard to read it. Or else, while the other is still a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks conditions of peace. So likewise, whoever of you does not forsake all that he has cannot be my disciple." Obviously, the context of what he's talking about. First, let me talk about the context of what he's saying before I go into how I make it relevant into today's subject. The context of it is he's basically telling them, he has a whole crowd following him, and he turns around and tells them, basically, this is what he's saying. Are you sure you're following me with everything? I want you to count the cost, because following me means loving me more than your spouse, loving me more than your children, loving me more than your own life. People are going to hate you. People are going to persecute you. People are going to be against you. Don't follow me because it's trendy. Don't follow me because it's a fad. Follow me knowing and counting the cost of what it takes to be my disciple. And it's crazy because at the very end of it, he says, whoever does not forsake his whole life cannot be my disciple. That's harsh. A lot of times people think like, well, I'm trying to serve God. I'm trying to, do the right thing. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. And Jesus like, no, I want all of you or nothing. Count the cost. Make projections. He uses an example. Which of you is going to build a high tower and does it plan it out first to make sure you have the material and the funds for it? And counting the cost is the reason I bring it up today is we know that Lake Tahoe has been kicking off. We have the location. It's going to be at a restaurant, guys. And somebody might say, how are you going to have a church at a restaurant? Here's the thing, is the owner of the restaurant is a Christian lady. And she closes on Sunday in reverence to the Lord. So she's never open on Sunday anyways. And she approached Alex and Veronica one day, not too long ago, and said, "Hey, I know you feel called to start a church. And I know it's hard to find a location. I just want to offer the restaurant to you that you can use it on Sundays for Sunday service to start, at least to begin." And they agreed. And we actually, the last time we were in Lake Tahoe, Sharon and I went and went to the restaurant. They introduced us to the owner and her mother and showed us the place. And sure enough, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how many seats can fit, maybe 25. I guessed. I won't know until we actually set it up. But I told him, listen, House of Rest started in the basement with 20 chairs. You know, what's it called? Spring, Texas, right now, House of Rest with Anthony and Angel. They're starting with 12 chairs and a couch in their living room with a maximum of 16 people. You know, Phoenix, Arizona, they started. I remember when we went over there when they first started off, and we went a few weeks later, maybe a couple months later. They had all kinds of mismatched chairs in their backyard, whatever it took to give somebody a place to sit so they can have service in the backyard. You know, and I think I think it adds to the beauty of the culture of what we're doing at House of Rest. You know, and I told Alex and told Veronica, we sat here, and even though we've known about this, we've talked about it, we really sat down and talked about counting the cost. You know, the way Jesus says, you know, like this is what he says right here. He says, which of you intending to build a tower, how many of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? Lest after he has laid the foundation and not able to finish, all who sees it begins to mock him. And we sat here and just discussed like the details of starting the church, you know, and you know, what was a blessing to me is that when I started House of Rest in the basement, nobody helped me. Nobody helped me and told me what to do or what not to do, or don't do this or don't do that. And yeah, I was new at Grace International. I didn't know them a lot. I was barely building a relationship with them. I was a little standoffish because I didn't know them. So obviously, I mean, they're busy pastoring their churches, and I had nobody sit down with me for the small things. You know, the little things like, how am I going to do worship? Uh, who's going to meet? Who's going to usher? How do you get a usher? How do you get a greeter? How do you even build a PowerPoint so something can show on the screen? It's the little things, you know. Using the verse, so Jesus talks about if you're going to build a tower, who's not going to make plans first and how to build it? Because then if you build it without making plans, the people are going to make fun of you. You know, and that's wisdom that Jesus says, you know. And I was just saying how, you know, reading this and the conversation we had with them and discussing these things, you know, it's a blessing to be able to use everything we've learned to pour into others. You know, even when we went and in Houston, you know, sitting down in Spring, Texas, talking with Anthony and Angel, you know, and I know there's a lot of things we still have yet to learn, but it's beautiful in sharing what we have learned. You know, House of Rest has been going strong for 12 years, and there's a lot of mistakes and a lot of wins, a lot of heartbreak, and a lot of victories. You know, and a lot of learning and stumbling and figuring things out and learning things, you know. So it's awesome to be able to kind of come full circle, and even though it's not me planting something new again, but to be able to assist, you know, somebody uh, that has a hunger for God, that has a hunger to see revival in their city, you know, that has a hunger to see things, you know, and um, I think that's really important.
For somebody who, for somebody who's
They
listening,
probably can't. Just put this on if you're gonna talk. That way they could really hear you.
why don't I just talk louder?
No, just it's right here. Just plug this in real quick. That way they can. Here, I'm giving Sharon her lapel mic. That way you guys can hear. She was I just told them that we had just finished eating, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And
We didn't just finish eating, babe. We ate a long time ago, and we just finished putting everything away. We're just cleaning up after eating a while ago. Um, for somebody who is considering pastoring or taking on a leadership a leadership role of pastoring, or in any type of regard, or they feel that the Lord has called them to that, because it's not something you just take on, it's something that you're called to do,
mm-hmm.
you know, which
It's
is
a burning desire. It's a
because
burning.
it's it's more than that. You're called to do it, because it's not something that we just wake up one morning and say like, oh, that's it, I just want to pastor. You know, we're called to do it, and sometimes we don't want to, but it's more of an obedience to the
I didn't want to
calling.
at first.
Yeah, it's more of an obedience to the calling,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard, you know, but to someone who does that, and they have yet not really truly, they're not fully 100% grounded, or their home yet is not 100% in order, or
Or their lives are not in order.
their lives are not in order, and all of that. What do you tell those people? What do you tell that family? What do you tell that person? Do they get their lives in order? Do they seek out that calling and get in the meantime get themselves in order, or do they, what do they do? Because that's something that I think is very, very important, because here's what can happen is that somebody never answer that call because they think that they'll never reach to that potential, or they might just go into that calling blindly and possibly stumble, or you know, they might just go into it and really thrive,
Yeah.
you know. What do you do?
Yeah. I think that I'm glad you reminded me about something too.
Because really quick though, before you answer that, because I will say this, because the person who thrives will go in with a heart, a willing, as a willing vessel, with a mentality and an open heart to want to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and with a teachable spirit, um, or the person who is going to stumble will not listen,
Yeah.
and that is the reason why they may stumble, or the person that never reaches their potential of their calling, or never even, or misses their opportunity of their calling, is because of fear. So that's what I wanted to. So what would you say to these people?
Well, you made me think of something from the first sentence you said.
Mm-hmm.
As you said that it's not something you just do overnight.
Yeah.
So, in talking about um, Veronica and Alex, and even Angel and Anthony, because they both are barely starting. Um, they didn't just wake up one day. Actually, by the time we met Alex and Veronica, they had already been ministering to youth over a year. I think it started off with maybe their kids or a couple of kids. I don't remember exactly, and it just turned to more and more, and now it's to the point where they're getting adults now, and they're talking to adults. But see, they don't have a church yet, so it's more like fellowship, and they're talking and reaching, and so you know,
I think it was deeper than that though with them. I think it was more of a, not just the need, but I think it was something that took place from a roof.
yeah.
And because of what the miracle that he saw that happened, I think that's where it
I
all
don't know in the
really,
timeline. I've never asked if that happened with the youth started already though, or before. I haven't asked them that,
yeah.
so it could very well
It'd
be
be
that it was
interesting to
after.
know though,
Yeah,
because something just sparked something.
yeah, something sparked in them, and so. But either way, I can say this is they've been meeting with people over a year with no building.
Yeah.
So this is not, like you said, an overnight thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as Angel and Anthony, um, Anthony, when we years ago confirmed with him, not confirmed, what's the word? When he said he felt called to preach, he's been saying that for years.
Yeah. Many years.
Many years, and then they were our youth leaders, but even then he had a desire to preach, to be a pastor. He felt this intense desire, and I remember right before he moved to Houston, when he sat down with us to tell us he was moving,
Yeah.
he told me, and he was a little sad, maybe because we've been friends for a long time, and maybe it was uncomfortable telling me, you know. But he said that I feel that I'm called to preach wherever it is I'm going, because he wasn't sure what they were gonna do exactly yet,
Yeah.
and so even that is not, oh, I'm gonna start a church. That's been years brewing in his heart,
Yeah.
you know, and what actually lit that spark was actually when we went to, as far as I'm concerned, we went to the conference, and he felt a conviction when that pastor was speaking. There was a pastor there that gave a word.
Cooper.
Yeah, Hooper. Yeah,
Hooper.
Mike
Yeah.
Hooper.
Mike
Yeah, he's
Cooper.
actually the regional district superintendent in the Texas area, and it was then that him and Angel had a conversation with us, and so even that was not overnight, you know. And so, guys, Jesus says, "He who plans a tower and is not, he who plans to build a tower and does not sit back and count the cost. Um, it's not smart to do. You got to count the cost of what it is that you're doing, and then proceed from there. And he says, because if not, when you fall flat on your face, people will mock you. So it's not something you do from day one to day two. It's something that, like Sharon said, it's a calling. It truly is a calling, and but
It doesn't answer the question. I mean, there was
oh,
3 different scenarios. So
remind me of the scenarios right now.
so there's the person who oh my god, I forgot the order that I put it in. So you have the person who steps into their calling and is oh my god, really? You're gonna make me think of them all over again. who is fearful of going into their calling and misses
Yeah.
their calling.
Yes.
And you have the person
Well,
who stumbles because they jump into their calling, and then you have the person who, you know, and then you have the person who that thrives, you know,
mhm.
but also, the person who who may just miss their calling can be, because of fear, obviously, and the person who thrives at it is because, of course, they, it may be because they're teachable, they have a teachable spirit and
Mhm.
everything, which is something that is very, very important. And then you have the person who, unfortunately, stumbles and everything is because they don't take heed. It can be many, many things, things
Mhm.
aren't in order, you know
What was the
or they're
question
just
though?
not ready.
Was it three questions?
It wasn't a question. It was
Oh.
like, what would you tell the person who seeks to be in the pastoral?
Well, the first one I remember. Guys, I have a bad memory, so I already forgot the second and third, but I remember the first. Is the person that is afraid to step into their calling. I think that's what you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anthony is one of them. In Spring, Texas, he'll tell you. I'm not saying anything that,
But I don't want it to
you know,
pertain it to one person. I
no,
want you
but I'm
just in
saying
general, a
he's one
person.
person that did that.
Okay.
And again, it comes back to this conviction. There's another brother that I know, same thing, that for whatever reason he has a fear to step into his calling. And remember when Peter stepped out of the boat? Everybody criticized Peter because he started sinking. And and I remember a pastor one time said, "Why does everybody critique Peter for taking a few steps?
Yeah,
What
but
about the guys that stayed on the boat that
yeah,
never took a
that
step
never
ever?
got out of the boat.
They never even got out. At least Peter stepped out."
Mm-hmm.
And guys, there are people in this world that are not going to get saved unless you speak to them, because there's a way that you're going to reach them that other people haven't. And you have to, if you only go as far as you can, then where's God in it? You have to go beyond yourself, because that's when God steps in. So you need to get over that. Um, the time is getting closer for the Lord to return, and there's no time to waste. Now, the second and third, I don't remember. But and I'm like nervous because this thing's like at 8%.
Okay, but I'm sure you probably answered it with the rest.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So, oh no, I do remember the second one. The second one is this, guys.
Stumbling, getting things
I want to
in.
remind you of this: as King David became the king, he was anointed king as a young man and didn't become king till 19 years later.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he wasn't ready. And this I see a lot happen too, is that somebody comes to the Lord and it's exciting. Yeah, I get that part, but they don't want to sit down and learn first. The Lord rebuked me with that at first when I got saved. And unfortunately what happens is a lot of times when you come to the Lord and you want a platform really fast, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're trying to build a tower without first counting the cost, because you need to be completely surrendered unto the Lord. And when you are not completely surrendered, that allows the evil one to use that part of you that you have not surrendered to the Lord. And you know what's going to happen is you're going to destroy yourself. You're going to destroy, if you're married, your spouse, and you're going to destroy the people that are under you. That's called church hurt. Why do you think there's a whole lot most people I run into are not people that don't know the Lord. They'll say, "Oh yeah, I used to serve God, but this church, this pastor, this whatever, this
I
that."
already tried that.
Yeah, and you know why that happens? Many of the times is because that pastor, that leader, did not let themselves, they didn't let themselves get conditioned. They didn't let themselves be surrendered completely. It is a heavy calling, a really heavy calling, guys. And there's this I don't know too much about wood, but I know there's this wood at Home Depot that it's kind of greenish and has these little dots on it,
Oh
and
yeah, I've seen it.
and it's weathered. That is my understanding. Like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. That's for things outside, like if you're building some kind of, I don't know, what are they called?
Deck.
A deck or something, because it's been weathered. So it's not gonna warp. It's not gonna rot. It's not gonna. And maybe there's other processes that I don't know of, but I do know this: that if you get a regular 2x4 or regular plywood and you leave it out here with the weather, the rain, the sun, it's gonna warp
Yeah.
because it cannot handle the pressure. It cannot handle the heat.
Yeah.
It can't handle the storms, and it will warp. And that is what happens when a believer wants to come, and instead of building themselves, they want to instead build a platform for themselves, and they end up getting warped. And in turn you hurt everybody around you. But if you know that you are right in the things of God, 5%. If you know that you're right in the things of God, then now you're not talking about not wanting to be warped. You're just being fearful. And you need to get past that fear and do what God is calling you to do. Because when you're a child, you thought as a child, you spoke as a child, but when you became a man, you put away childish things. And another last thing I want to say before this phone dies is that the Lord told Peter, he goes, when you were young, you went where you wanted to go. But as an old man, you're going to go where you don't want to go. And I don't have time to talk about the third,
Well,
but
third, I think is simple. I think you thrive when your heart is in the right place, and you're open to learning. Yeah.
yeah. So, all right, guys, God bless you. Thank you so much. I got to put this on a charger so it can render. I'm sure it's about 1:30 now, and I want to get to sleep, but I can't do it until I render this thing and upload
And
it.
I'm done cleaning, so
Yeah.
let's go to bed.
All right, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.